I'm Brian Hayes, Creative Director on EA Sports UFC.
Talk about what your goals were heading into this first UFC game for EA Sports.
Well, our goal is to make the best UFC game we possibly can, but specifically our vision for this game is to make users feel the fight. And there's a lot of things we're doing with Ignite technology in the game to really bring that to life, to bring the characters to life like we've never been able to do before.
Can you talk about Next Gen Ignite and what that means to the MMA sport?
Well, the pillars of Ignite technology really that we're trying to bring to life on Next Gen are true player motion, human intelligence, and living worlds. And if you think about a UFC fight, obviously true player motion is critically important to bringing that fight to life in a real way. Whether it's talking about precision movement across the surface of the octagon or dynamic striking that you can do against your opponent, or really conveying the sense of pressure and force that fighters exert on each other in a submission hold. Human intelligence, again, is critically important in mixed martial arts. Your opponent needs to have a game plan and be able to adapt that game plan based on what's happening over the course of the fight. And then the living world is, well, it's the spectacle of the UFC. When you walk into the octagon or when you walk into the cage, we want that to feel like a UFC experience. Everybody on the team's been to at least one UFC event now, and it is a spectacle, and there's an energy in that arena that we want to convey to the user when they're playing the game.
Can you talk about the strategy that's involved when it comes to actually performing in MMA?
I can only talk about it in very high level terms because I have very limited in my experience myself. But one of the things that the team at EA Canada has done about a year ago today, when this partnership with the UFC was announced, right away we said, hey, let's get a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guy into the studio and start teaching us how to do things on the ground. And it was a real eye opener to see the level of strategy and the chess match that Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is. And it's a very intricate sport, and so we want to bring some of that essence to life in the game, but we don't want to make it inaccessible to users. So we're focusing on bringing the strategy of submission battles to life in game, without, like I said, making it super complicated and that you would have to go to a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu a dojo to learn, and get your black belt to be able to play our game. We want to bring an essence of it to life, the strategy of position-based battles, so that you're finishing the fight in a believable way.
What has your experience in the past with games like Fight Night brought to the table when jumping into this sport?
Well, I'm really comfortable in working on games that have guys wearing no shirts on. No, I'm just kidding. But obviously, striking is our forte. The Fight Night team, we've been doing that stuff for a long time now. We introduced the physics system on Fight Night Round 4, so we brought in the glancing blows and the one-punch knockout. So when we got the UFC game, we were like, hey, we were super stoked to be able to take that technology and what we've learned there and bring it into elbows, knees, and kicks as well. And then everything else that's available to us, thanks to Ignite, is really just going to help us bring the most authentic UFC experience to life, for sure.
Is there a way to just give someone an idea of how big a leap it is of seeing these two characters on screen from what we've seen from current gen to next gen?
Well, if you saw the presentation, we have a video that's an A/B comparison of some of our core technological innovations, namely our ability to drive real expressive facial animations, our real-time exertion system, a full body deformation system. When you turn all those things on, you see the difference when you can really feel the fight, you see those visual elements at play, and when they're not, what it looks like on a current gen game. It's two different worlds. You get so much more information that's almost instinctual in nature about what the fighters are going through. I can tell by the look on my fighter's face whether he is close to becoming unconscious, or if he's fatigued, or if he's feeling very confident about the situation in the fight, as well as is his face turning purple as a result of the choke that's on there. Well, I better get out of that situation very quickly because clearly that is not a good situation to be in. All those things, we put them together, and that's really what's going to change the experience when you're playing the game.
How have you guys been working with the UFC in developing this game?
Very closely. They've been fantastic partners from day one. Dana White actually came up to visit the studio and spoke to the entire team a couple weeks after the partnership was announced, and really worked to get the entire team enthusiastic about the opportunity working on the UFC. And it's the fastest growing sport in the world, so it's a huge opportunity. You take that partnership plus new game consoles being launched, plus new Ignite technology, it's a perfect storm for us to really deliver something exciting.
What are the challenges you feel of raising the bar? UFC had some really bad games early on, but then they had some decent games more recently, and now having this license and pushing it forward.
This team's always up for a challenge, and that's one of the great things about game development. You know, you're always going to try and improve on either what you've done or what other people have done before you. And that's the challenge before us, but we feel really confident based on like this super talented team of individuals we have at EA Sports Canada that we can deliver that type of experience, an evolutionary leap forward in terms of the gameplay.